What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Jada here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a quick recap of the very last episode of the 90 Day Fiance Love in Paradise most recent season. They, I believe, don't have a tell-all like all the other 90 Day Fiance shows do, but I do think that they should, because obviously people want to know what's going on with these couples in terms of an update. So TLC gonna need to fix that. If you guys hadn't seen my other video that I did in terms of the rest of the season, I'll link that in the corner here. But let's start off with Kyle and Annie. In my last video, I had called her Anika. I think that's her full name, but people call her Annie for short. So I don't know. I'm just gonna call her Annie this time around. So Kyle and Annie, in the last episode that I spoke about in my other video, they had a little bit of an argument because Kyle was supposed to be bringing a plan B along with him. He was going to come to Annie's house for dinner because they had a little bit of, schmexy time, and they forgot to, well, not forgot. It seems like it wasn't even talked about, but they didn't use protection, and now Annie's kind of freaking out. She's just like, oh my god, what if I'm pregnant? And she does an ovulation test, but really and truly I think she should have probably just gotten a plan B one time. But she was like, okay, I could just count on Kyle to bring it, but he doesn't bring it, and he's just like, I'm certain you're not ovulating, as if he is so well versed on ovulations and the processes of the female body. I'm like, sir, are you a doctor? Like, what? So yeah, that was really strange. But after that situation, they have an even bigger blow up, and Annie reveals that she slept with her ex-boyfriend before Kyle had even came to Malta, and it ends up kind of turning into, you were coming after me about the whole situation of me keeping secrets from you in terms of me sleeping with a couple of my, I guess, clients is what I think he might be calling them, but people who are trying to get pregnant. Because as you guys would have known from my other video or from the show itself, he on the side does sperm donations, but he gives his clients the options of either just having him give them the sperm and they do kind of like an insemination thing, or they could do it the natural way and actually have schmex. Okay, I think that's very interesting still, that people would just do that with a stranger just to get pregnant. I mean, why wouldn't you just do the insemination? I don't know. But anyways, so with all that being said, Kyle feels as though Annie lied to him and that she kind of cheated on him in a way. And I was like, did y'all even say to each other what the rules and boundaries were when it came to this whole situationship? They still haven't even verified if this is an actual relationship yet, let alone you cheating on the person. It's like, I'm a little confused on that one. So I think with Annie and Kyle, their whole situations were really messy, because obviously Kyle with the whole sperm donation thing and not wanting to stop, or even at least stop the whole sexual intercourse option with his clients, I think that is strange in itself, because it feels as though he's actually addicted to doing this at this point. But now he's telling Annie, I also feel as though you, with regards to your whole baby daddy situation, that's also messy. And I kind of have to agree, that is messy. Girl, if you haven't even tied off the whole situation you have going on with your ex, why are you even trying to form a new relationship with Kyle? Regardless of how weird Kyle is, okay, I don't really think she should be in a relationship with him anyway, but I just think that you should at least fix that whole weird thing that you have going on with your ex first, tie that off, and then move on. You know what I mean? Both of them, I think, were messy, so I can't really pick a side here, but obviously I do think that the situation with Kyle and the sperm donation was a little weirder than Annie just sleeping with her ex. That's just me. But after Kyle reveals to Annie that he really has no intentions of stopping or slowing down his sperm donation situation, Annie pretty much says to him, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm finished with this whole weird thing we got going on. I don't want to continue anything with you. She walks away after that. But Kyle decides, I'm going to meet up with Annie at least one more time. Okay, we're going to try to talk this out and see what happens. But ultimately, he's still packing up his stuff to leave that very same day, I think. So Kyle, he does bring up that he's hurt about the whole Annie sleeping with her ex thing, and like I said already, I totally understand that. But the part of the conversation that gets really weird is when Kyle accuses Annie of trying to pin a baby on him, and I'm really confused as to how and why she would even do that. So he was basically saying that because he knows her ovulation pattern, or time of her ovulation of the month. She would have been ovulating when she was doing the do with her ex and not with him. So she, according to Kyle, was trying to do what she did with her ex-boyfriend, get pregnant with him, but then pin a baby on Kyle, so Kyle would be the one to take care of the baby.
If you're pregnant, it's his.
Her ex did it before I had sex with her. There's a higher chance of her ex being the father if she was pregnant.
You're crazy.
And I'm just like, the delusion is so real. It's so real, because why would she want to pin a baby on you when she wasn't even sure if she wanted to be with you in the first place? Usually women do that if they're sure that you would be a good father and you would be a better option than the actual biological father that they were going to be having the baby for. Like, let's be real here, okay? Let's use our brains. Why would she want to pin a child on someone that she's not even sure of? Usually you pin children on people that you're sure of. People that you're sure are going to take care of their kids and going to make good parents, good dads. That was crazy to me. So Kyle ends up leaving Malta to go to London to actually get another woman pregnant. I was like, you know what? This is never going to end. I think this man will never stop. I don't think he's ever going to find anybody that accepts his strangeness. I mean, if he does, it has to be someone who's okay with an open relationship or polygamy. It has to be. Because if you're into monogamy, why would you be okay with that setup? Let's move on to Alex and Adriano. So after Adriano suggests that they go talk to a group of girls about a potential threesome, and Alex is clearly upset by the request, they decide to go on a boat ride at evening of that next day. And we later find out that Adriano had suggested, I guess the day before or maybe earlier that day, that they have a threesome with Alex's cousin. And she ends up bringing this back up on the boat when they have their little boat date. And she starts getting really emotional. I totally get it, because that is so inappropriate, even as a joke, because he kept trying to sell it as a joke. He's just like, I was just joking. Clearly that had made her uncomfortable. But in my head, it's like, you already know she's uncomfortable with the whole threesome idea, doesn't want to do threesomes, but you would suggest or even put forth the idea as a joke. What in your brain would make you think that that was an okay joke to make? Adriano is so annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But she brings that up, she gets emotional, and based on his reaction, I think also it kind of played into why she ultimately came to that conclusion that she just needed to end this relationship, just break things off officially. And it seems as though she's being serious this time, because apparently all the other times they had been broken up before, it was actually Adriano who had broken up with Alex. But this was actually the first time that Alex had broken up with him. So according to Adriano, he says he kind of feels differently about this time. And I'm just like, so all the other times he'd broken up with her just to be or participate in a threesome, clearly he did not care. I think he just wanted to have his cake and eat it too, because Alex obviously didn't want to be involved in the threesomes. He just thought in his head that breaking up with her, at least for the time being, while he goes on his little threesome escapades, he would be in the clear because they're not together. That's the vibe that I'm getting. But Alex seems very clear on leaving the relationship for good this time.
I want to be in a relationship. I want to get married and have kids. And I feel like I'm having to shrink myself into this little bitty box just so I can have something.
We'll have to see if it sticks ultimately, because she does end up leaving, going on the train, and they say goodbye and whatnot. But I'm still curious as to if she's really going to cut him off for good. So Luke and Madeline. Now, after the rumors came out about Madeline having another guy sleeping in her bed, Luke finally gets an apology out of her, because she was so stuck on not being wrong and not feeling as though she did anything wrong that she wasn't putting herself in Luke's shoes as to how he feels and how she would feel if she was in his position and there was a girl sleeping in his bed. Even though she's saying that, oh, I wasn't naked, it's like, girl, why is there a random man in your bed? Like, what? Even if y'all didn't do anything and you had on clothes, it doesn't matter. Why is he in your bed? That is the question. So she starts to realize what she did was hurtful, and they decided to go to Guadape, I think is how you pronounce it. They went there for a bit, and you could tell that Luke is still feeling really drained about the whole thing, but now he's getting ready to leave again to go back to the US. But he's saying to Madeline that he's gonna be right back, but Madeline, you could tell, doesn't really believe him, because he obviously has money problems and he's going to have to go to the US to work and get that money situation sorted, and that's probably going to take more than just a couple of months.
Luke say he gonna come back soon, but I know him. I don't think that is true.
So she ends up telling him that she'll sign a prenup, but what she doesn't say is that if he doesn't come back soon, then she won't sign it. Or at least that's what I think she said. Y'all let me know. Luke is now going back home trying to figure out his financial ordeal, but I just don't think this is going to work out, mainly because of the differences in terms of mainly age and also maturity. And what I find kind of strange is that in one of the episodes, Luke was like, oh, I don't want to be with a girl, I want to be with a woman. And I'm like, Luke, she's 19. She's 19 years old. I'm like, should somebody tell him? Like, I feel like he doesn't know. Sean and Aaliyah. So now that Sean and Aaliyah are engaged, they're having so much needed conversations about this open relationship that Sean had kind of proposed but didn't really propose. He just kind of told Aaliyah that this is what is going to happen, that they're going to be in an open relationship. But yeah, it was clearly more so for Sean than Aaliyah. Clearly Aaliyah doesn't want to be open. She doesn't really want to be with other people, just Sean. But Sean places a lot of emphasis on physical intimacy. So with Aaliyah not being there with him in person all the time, her being back in Brazil, it's understandable why he would probably seek to do the open relationship thing. But it's like, you kind of have to have that conversation beforehand. You can't just do what you want and then be like, oh, we're in an open relationship. Like, what the heck is that? That's cheating, sir. So now with Sean leaving Brazil and going back to the States, Aaliyah is trying to lay down some rules for him when it comes to their open relationship. So she's telling Sean that she doesn't want him to hook up with this friend of his anymore and doesn't want this person to also be around them when she moves to the US. I think that's very understandable and it makes sense, at least to me.
I don't want my fiance to sleep with his friend. My biggest fear is that Sean will have feelings for someone else and break up the relationship with me.
But clearly Sean still has a very deep connection and attachment to this friend. And I do believe, according to Sean, that they had actually dated at one point, and that's not just his friend, that's also his ex. So I don't know. That's like a weird... Ooh, that's a weird little messy situation he has going on. But of course, Sean is saying that he can't really get rid of this person. They, shortly after that, end up going to a plastic surgeon to see about getting Aaliyah the work that she wants done on her body to make her look more feminine. And Sean isn't really saying anything during the consultation, but in his little interview of sorts, he does kind of go into how he has some reservations with the plastic surgery. He's wondering if he's gonna still find Aaliyah attractive and how he is still more so attracted to Douglas, or the, you know, pre-masculine version of Aaliyah. And he's wondering how these surgeries are gonna make Aaliyah look, because he likes how Aaliyah looks right now. So it seems like a very much so interesting situation that they're in. But later on, they end up having some intimate time, or more specifically, schmexy time. And I think that was the very first time that they actually did since Sean had come to Brazil. And that entire time on his trip, they actually didn't do anything at all, because I think Sean was still kind of in his head about the whole thing with Aaliyah transitioning and whatnot. You could tell that Sean isn't entirely sold, even though what they had was nice, it seems. It seems also like Aaliyah was very happy about what had transpired, but Sean just seems a little uneasy about everything. So now that they're applying for the K1 visa, Aaliyah, of course, is very nervous because they still haven't really fully verified what the rules are for their open relationship, at least until she gets to the US. So yeah, it seems as though they're trying to cut the whole open relationship thing off and end it when she gets to the States, but until then she's making that concession for Sean to be doing whatever he wants. But he doesn't seem to be sold on the rules that she had presented to him about not messing with this friend. So I'm really curious to see what happens with these couples, if there's just going to be another season, or are they going to do some type of special. I don't know, but I need to have some type of updates, or I'm gonna have to start Googling on my own and doing some digging. Y'all let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.